Hello everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Bienvenidos al Mundo del Español with your teacher, Senior Dean. Hoy vamos a discutir un tema muy interesante. Voy a hablar de dos verbos que tienen los mismos significados. Today we'll be discussing a very interesting topic. I'll be talking about two verbs that have the same meaning. These verbs are ser and estar. Now, many people have been confused for so long because they don't know when to use which verb. All right? Both verbs mean to be. Now, in this video, I'll be teaching you when to use which. At the end of this video, you will have learned something new. Stay tuned, and this promises to be a very helpful video. The first thing we need to note is that these two verbs are conjugated differently. Alright, so I'll show you how they are conjugated, and then you will realize that there's a huge difference in how they are conjugated. We're going to be starting by conjugating the verb ser in the present tense. Let us begin. Yo soy. Tú eres. Él es. Ella es. Usted es. Nosotros somos. Ellos son. Ellas son. Ustedes son. Alright, so we've conjugated the verb ser in the present tense. Now we're going to be conjugating the verb estar in the present tense. Yo estoy. Tú estás. Él está. Ella está. Usted está. Nosotros estamos. Ellos están. Ellas están. Ustedes están. So you would realize after having conjugated both verbs in the present tense that there's a huge difference in the conjugations. Alright? So that's one difference in the two verbs. Let us move on. So there are a number of situations or instances in which these verbs are used. I'll be putting up some charts very, very shortly, and we'll be going through them one by one, and you'll realize that there are totally different instances in which they are used. All right? After I've shown you on the chart the different instances or situations in which these verbs are used, I will then proceed to give examples of each. All right? So stay tuned for that. The charts, we have the two verbs. We have on this side ser, and over there we have estar. As you can see, both verbs actually mean to be. Now, I'll be listing the instances or situations or cases in which you would use the verb ser. Let us begin. You would use ser when talking about time and date. When describing something that is permanent. When talking about occupation. When talking about relationship. When talking about ownership. When talking about the location of an event. And also when talking about the weather of a place. You would use the verb estar in an instance or a situation or a case when you're talking about health condition, emotion or mood, location or position, ongoing action. So when you're talking about an ongoing action. When talking about changing weather, or changing weather conditions. When talking about or describing something that is temporary. So I will go through step by step and give examples of each so you're not confused. Now, you may be wondering, how is it that I said that these two verbs are used in totally different cases, yet you see location here and you see location over under estar as well. I will explain why location is under each, all right? And then you will realize that there is still a difference, okay? So stay tuned for that. Okay, so you would have seen on the charts that there are different instances or situations in which the verbs are used, all right? So we're just gonna go through each individually and give examples so you'll have a better understanding, all right? So we're gonna start off with the verb ser. We said that ser is used when you're talking about time or date. Here's an example for the time. Son las 3 de la tarde. Son las 3 de la tarde, which means it is 3 p.m. It is 3 p.m. So you would have noticed that I used son, which comes from ser. An example for the date. Hoy es miércoles el 3 de octubre. Hoy es miércoles el 3 de octubre. And that means today is Wednesday, October 3. Now you noticed I used es, which also comes from ser. Now we also said that we use ser when we are describing something which is permanent. Alright, so it's always going to be like that. Here's an example. La montaña es alta. La montaña es alta, which means the mountain is high or tall. The mountain is high. Alta could mean high or tall, right? So the mountain is high. And that won't ever change, right? La montaña es alta. So you noticed I use es, which comes from ser. Ser is also used to talk about occupation, all right? So here's an example. Yo soy profesor. Yo soy profesor, which means I am a teacher. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't say yo soy un profesor. Well, here's a fun fact in Spanish. You don't use the article un or una, which means a, when you are talking about profession or occupation. So, yo soy profesor. Now, soy comes from ser, all right? So you would have seen then that ser is used to talk about occupation. Ser is also used to talk about the relationship you share with a person, all right? So when talking about relationship, you use ser. An example is, él es mi padre. Él es mi padre. So you would have seen where I used es, which comes from ser. Ellos son mis padres. Ellos son mis padres, which means they are my parents. And I used son, which comes from ser as well. We also use ser when we talk about ownership. So whenever you want to talk about something you own, you use ser. An example is, este lápiz es mío. Este lápiz es mío, which means this pencil is mine. This pencil is mine. All right? Another example would be, ese carro es suyo. Ese carro es suyo, which means that car is his. That car is his. Ser is also used when we talk about the location of an event. An example is, ¿dónde es el partido de fútbol? ¿Dónde es el partido de fútbol? Which means, where is the football match? And the last thing that we had listed is that ser is used when we talk about the weather of a place. An example is, Chile es frío. Chile es frío, which means Chile is cold. So Chile is known to be a cold country. Chile es frío. Now we're going to be talking about the instances in which we use estar. We're just going to give some examples on each instance which you would use estar. The first one that we had listed was health condition. Here's an example. Estoy enfermo. Estoy enfermo. I am sick or I am ill. Well, it's just a joke. I'm not ill. I'm not sick. I'm doing pretty well. So if I wanted to say I'm doing well, health-wise, I would say estoy bien. Estoy bien. I am well or I am fine, health-wise. Also said that when talking about the emotion or mood that you are in, you would use estar. Here's an example. Estoy feliz. Estoy feliz. Oh my God. Estoy feliz. Ay, Dios mío. Estoy feliz. Which means I am happy. So maybe you won the lottery. Right? Si ganaste la lotería. If you won the lottery, you would be excited. Estoy feliz. Well, if someone had won the lottery, I think they would be a lot more excited than that. Let us move on. Estoy triste. Estoy triste. I am sad. Estoy triste. So in both instances, I used estoy, which comes from estar. All right? So estar is used when you are expressing your emotion or the mood that you are in. Estar is also used to talk about location. Yes, we also said that ser is used to talk about location, but ser is used to talk about the location of an event. Alright, so we had used the example, ¿Dónde es el partido de fútbol? Which means, where is the football match? Talking of just about the event itself, not the location where the match is being held. So estar would be more to talk about the location of where the event is, or where a person is, or where a thing is. All right? So we have an example. Here's the example. Kingston está en el norte del país. Kingston está en el norte del país, which means Kingston is in the north of the country. All right, don't take my word for it. I'm pretty sure that Kingston is not in the north of Jamaica, but I was just giving an example. Kingston está en el norte del país. So that is telling you where Kingston is located. All right. Another example is el mar está cerca del río. El mar está cerca del río. The sea is close to the river. The sea is close to the river. All right? And don't tell me that's not possible, because there's so many cases in which the sea is close to the river. Estar is also used to talk about the position of something. An example is, la flor está a la izquierda de la pantana. La flor está a la izquierda de la pantana, which means the flower is to the left of the screen. The flower is to the left of the screen. So that's estar being used to talk about the position, rather, of something. Estar is used to talk about an ongoing action. Here's an example. Si el mundo fuera mío, te lo daría. Hasta mi religión la cambiaría. Por ti hay tantas cosas que yo haría. So you would say, Señor Dean está cantando. Señor Dean está cantando, which means Mr. Dean is singing. Here are a number of other examples. Él está caminando. Él está caminando. He is walking. Él está saltando. He is jumping. We also say that we use estar when we talk about weather conditions that change or change in weather conditions. Here's an example. Está lloviendo. Está lloviendo, which means it is raining. Está lloviendo. Está nevando. Está nevando, which means it is snowing. Alright? So we use estar to talk about those because they at some point stop. At some point it stops raining, at some point it stops snowing. Alright? So we use estar for that. Estar is also used to describe something that is temporary. Here's an example. El té está caliente. El té está caliente, which means the tea is hot. El té está caliente y me quemó en la lengua. Ah! I'm sure we've all had that moment where, the hot tea has burnt us on the tongue. So that's one example. And we use estar because at some point the tea, although it's hot, at some point it becomes cool. All right, another example is, say for example, you see a female and you want to tell her she looks beautiful in the dress that she's wearing. Estás bonita en ese vestido. Estás bonita en ese vestido. So you're telling her that she looks beautiful in the dress. Not that you're telling her she looks beautiful overall, but that she looks beautiful in the dress. All right? And she'll only have on that dress for a temporary period of time. At some point she takes it off, or at some point she changes it. So you use esta because you're talking about how she looks in the dress at the moment. Okay, so earlier I had conjugated each verb in the present tense. So what I'll do now is I'm going to give some sentences in which I will use the conjugated forms of each verb. So you'll see the difference in which they are used. Just to further emphasize or reinforce that there is a difference in the two verbs. Let's begin. Yo soy profesor. Estoy enseñando. Yo soy profesor. Estoy enseñando. Which means I am a teacher. So we used soy, which comes from ser. And then I said estoy enseñando, which means I am teaching. And we used estoy, which comes from estar. Tú eres enfermera. Tú eres enfermera. Tú estás en el hospital. Tú estás en el hospital. That means you are a nurse. You are at the hospital. So we use eres, which comes from ser, because we spoke of your occupation. And we use estás to speak of where you are currently located. Tú eres enfermera. Estás en el hospital. Lionel Messi es futbolista. Está jugando al fútbol. Lionel Messi es futbolista. Está jugando al fútbol. Lionel Messi is a footballer. He is playing football. Somos jamaicanos. Estamos en Jamaica. Somos jamaicanos. Estamos en Jamaica. Which means we are Jamaicans. We are in Jamaica. So I used somos, which comes from ser, because I'm talking about my nationality, our nationality. All right, so that's a point that I should have made earlier. So if you're describing yourself and you're speaking of your nationality or someone's nationality, you use the verb ser. All right, somos jamaicanos. We are Jamaicans. Estamos en Jamaica. So we are Jamaicans, and our location where we are now is in Jamaica. Ellos son pilotos. Ellos son pilotos. Están en el avión. Están en el avión. That means they are pilots. They are in the plane. Gracias por haber visto este video. Espero que ustedes hayan aprendido algo nuevo hoy. Thank you for having watched this video. I hope that you have learned something new today. Thanks for watching again, guys, and just please subscribe to my channel, share my content if you think it's helpful and informative. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and you take care until next time.